This artist's defense for tracing artwork was, oh, but like people send me references. So we have a post made on Twitter by Twitter user Tayrex writing, they're tracing my work and have most likely traced from other artists too. I work so hard to create a unique identity for my pets. Please don't steal that from me. And this is the user on VGen by the name of Alice Montclair. Again, I need to ask 10,000 times, please don't send hate to any parties involved, okay? Don't do that. Here we have a side by side where on the top we have some emotes that Alice had made for people where they're kind of like in a pet pose, you know, with a collar and being leashed and their hands are kind of up. And then the bottom we have the artwork made by Tay, who made the original piece. Tay's art looks super, super, super cute. I really love the way they render eyes. It's really, really cute. It looks very like orb-like. And these are looking mad similar. Now, I don't think Tay said this, and nobody said this. Tay doesn't obviously own the concept of a pet emote where, like, you know, they're being leashed and stuff like that. But you can, you know, as an artist, do your own due diligence to put your own spin on an idea if hypothetically a client came to you and was like, oh, I really, really want this type of emote. This is looking a little too similar because the rendering style and everything is like the same. It's almost as if like very little liberty was taken to make the pose and everything a little different. Like the chain is basically in the same place, the hands are basically in the same place. Now, I myself am an emo artist, and we can definitely acknowledge like emotes are really small. So in order to convey information, there's not many places you can put things. Like if you make a hype confetti emote, there's only so many ways you can draw it before it's gonna look a little similar. These are looking really similar. Even the way the mouth is rendered and everything, the mouth shape is so similar. And some people were like, you know, obviously reporting the page, and other people were sending hate in the comment section of Tate, which is like, don't do that. You know, we have people like, you're a little idiot. How much ego do you have to falsely claim it's traced? Inspired and traced is very different. I read your little distress response to another comment, but you're so full of crap. Quit being an artist as you're an embarrassment of a creator. The thing is, like, okay, some people were like, oh, maybe you're over exaggerating a little bit, and we'll see in a second. But as an artist, like, if you made your own work, you are intimately familiar with the likeness of your own work. So when somebody else's art crops up and it looks super similar to yours, right? You can see it. And it feels uncomfortable. And I can't speak for this artist, but I'm sure, like, as artists, you have the common sense to realize, hey, I don't own this concept. Other people will make this. But you can also recognize that, hey, when things cross the line, I make frog emotes. Everybody freaking makes frog emotes. Just because somebody makes frog emotes doesn't mean they copied me. I was not the first person to do it. I will not be the last person. But I have like a frog raid emote of a frog holding like a wooden sign that says raid on it. That's written in my handwriting. And somebody raided me with that emote, except it wasn't that emote. It was somebody else's emote they bought off Etsy. They had no idea. It was not their fault. They did not know, but they bought this pack off Etsy. And I literally looked at the raid emote and I was like, oh, wow, they have my emote. Wait a second. No, they don't. That's not my emote. But why does it look like my handwriting? Why does it look like my art? And turns out the artist traced it. So, like, you know, you have like a sixth sense and you're like, you feel like you're kind of crazy because you're like, I don't want to like exaggerate too much and like overstep, but at the same time it's like, dude, this is feeling weird. The artist Alice comments, hi, I'm really sorry for all of this. I had made one for myself and someone liked it, so they asked me for it. I don't copy art. I respect the art of others because I know what it costs. It was not my intention to steal anything. I apologize and will delete the publication. And it's a little suspicious, but you might leave it there. But then more information came out, presented by Tay, writing, people seem to think that I don't have evidence, so I'll provide more. They reached out to me and I tried asking them to provide references and evidence that their work isn't traced or copied by referring to this artwork in particular. Left is theirs and right belongs to Floofy Fluff. And if you look at the art, here we have their artwork and this is Floofy's art with a watermark on it. Why does it look so freaking similar? Like if we overlap one on top of the other, these are looking way too close for comfort. Hey adds, I'll be using screenshots to avoid putting words in their mouth. I hate doing this, but I don't know how else to provide truthful statements. After my question, they said a friend requested this artwork. So here Tate asks for references, and Alice says, no, I haven't, referring to copying, but they say, I don't understand. Most people ask me for poses, others I use real reference photos. I have nothing, referring to reference photos, because I don't think I need to defend myself from that accusation. I took the blame for your emote. I apologize. If I've really done something, I have no problem with facing it, but the accusations that I have copied other artists are false. I liked your emote, nothing more. And Tay says, so if this was meant for personal art for a friend, why is it up for sale on your Etsy? And Alice says she gave me permission to post it. And then Tay was like, is your friend perhaps Floofy Fluff? Which again, so like what's true and what's not? Did you trace the art piece for a friend who specifically asked, but like you did it in the privacy of friends? I still don't think that's okay, but for the sake of argument, right? But then your friend gave you permission to sell the artwork that you traced. And then you agreed and sold it. I'm just confused. Alice continues, I understand the frustration. It has also happened to me that sometimes I design something and somebody else does it, or there are similar designs that are posted later, but I really have nothing to defend myself from a part of your design. You are free to believe me or not. And regarding references, they say, well, I don't look for references for that because it was a friend of mine who wanted it. So I would appreciate it if I was not accused of something I didn't see. Tay adds, they then tried to say they just do what people request of them and they can't be blamed for it. I then decided to end the convo as it was going nowhere. I will further provide proof. And so Tay had asked proof of somebody requesting something specific. And Alice said, there are many emotes that are repeated and that many artists make that are the same, and they don't even know each other. I assume my guilt, but I'm not going to take blame for something that isn't mine. And Tay adds that as an artist, if people are requesting references for artwork, that it's your responsibility to tell people that you don't allow copying. So here's more evidence where these are bunnies that Alice is selling. The shape body is very referenced off of more of Floofy's art. So here we have a bunny drinking boba, and that looks to be referenced off of Lily Paw's artwork. The rendering style is really similar to Lily's. Alice then puts out her own defense, and this was in Spanish, so it is translated into English by Grok, writing, I don't usually have to defend myself from anything, but I see that it's necessary. Some time ago, I liked the emo I saw around here. I wanted to make a version for myself because I'm an illustrator, and now I'm being accused of my art being copied. Yes, I made my version, but it shouldn't tarnish the rest. I've been drawing for years. I get inspired by things I see, like everyone else. I adapt to what people usually ask for, but having made my version of an emote I saw around doesn't mean all of my art is copied. That hurts me because I put in tremendous effort. I apologize for that emote because I was asked for one like that and I shouldn't have agreed to it. I apologize publicly and privately, but I don't think it's fair that the rest of my art gets tainted that way. I don't copy my art. I like that emote, I made one for myself. I was asked for another one, and that's it. I've seen myself how illustrators design things similar to the ones I do and the ones I thought were originally mine, but at no point did it cross my mind to open a thread about it. I'm a small account, it costs to make one's way, and even more so if all these years are reduced to nothing for liking an emote. I made a mistake, yes, but the rest of my art cannot be tarnished by that. I apologize again, although it's most likely that they'll throw away the Vision account that I worked so hard to get off the ground. I think it's interesting because there is this account with 3 followers vehemently defending them in the comment section, basically kind of arguing that it's a reference and not traced. And then Alice continues, I'm gonna start asking that nobody sends me any art references from other people to make PNG tuber commissions. I'm not gonna continue with the topic anymore. My art looks stained by it. If you want a commission, send me a real photo, nothing from other artists, because in the end, it's plagiarism. I will only accept commissions with references from real photos. I'm tired of this and being a small account, not being able to have a voice. Clients will send you photos of people's art, right, as references, because clients are commissioning you almost always because they themselves can't draw. So when they're trying to piece together their own vision, obviously, if they're not generating it with AI, we can appreciate that. They're going to pull artwork they like and bring it to you and be like, hey, can you do this, right? It's on you as the artist to then take that and make your own interpretation of that. If the client comes to you and is like, I like this, make it exactly like this, but with me, you have to say, hey, I'm not going to do that, because that's somebody else's work. Can we change it a little bit or do this and that and etc.? Nothing wrong with being inspired by other people's work, but if it looks so one-to-one that when you put one on top of the other, it's basically the same in terms of where everything is positioned, the lines and everything, we start treading into very suspicious territory. And it's up to you as the artist to make that distinction, to interpret somebody else's work differently enough in a commission that people can't tell where the original source is from. And then Alice adds, since I see that you don't believe me when I say I use references people send me, here's the proof. And they attach a bunch of photos where people have sent artwork as references. And people in the comments are like, wait, this doesn't prove anything really at all, because sure, you're proving the fact that people have provided other people's artwork to ask you as a reference to make art, but that doesn't address the core issue of artwork relating to Tay, Floofy, and Lily Paw Studio, because the artwork looks so similar. And again, you could make the argument if there was a one-off case where it looks super similar, maybe the stars aligned and it ended up being a coincidence, but when there are so many instances, here we have the Bunny Bobo one, and there's a bit of a difference in the way the eye is positioned, but why is everything else so similar? Down to the way it's rendered. So anyways, don't be sending hate to any parties involved. Best case scenario, this was a case of misunderstanding where they think that this is just referencing, and maybe they've crossed the line into basically tracing the art piece without innocently realizing it, potentially. But it definitely seems like after this, they're not going to be doing it again, which is a good thing. I'll have all the affected artists linked down below so you can show them some love and support. And yeah, if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there like emotes and overlays and that Raid Frog emote that person stole. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. Hope to catch y'all there or in another video. Peace.